Welcome in, my fellow fitness enthusiasts, to today's fitness challenge from Revision Training. My name is Tyler Marin, and today we are going to maintenance our body a bit. We're going to go through 12 cool down stretches, targeting every major muscle group in the body, and taking a little moment here to help our bodies recover and keep our muscles loose and mobile. Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Tyler. I am a 3-time Paralympic athlete. I am a 10-year personal trainer and motivational speaker. I'm a husband and father and overall health enthusiast. So I'm coming to you guys today with this video and a little bit of background information on why stretches, cool downs, warm-ups, preparation for your exercise, maintenance of your body is so crucial. So real quick, generally speaking, when we talk about exercise, and I'm thinking more of the run, lift, push yourself to exhaustion type exercise, right? So the heavy hitting impact kind of stuff. That type of exercise, which is totally fine for you, is designed literally to break your body down. Right, when you lift weights, when you lunge, when you jump, and you're feeling that burn in the muscles, it micro tears your muscle fibers and it breaks down your body. You use up nutrients, you use up resources, and from there, your body gets stronger by recovering from that activity and growing more and becoming more resistant to break down in the future, developing more muscle fibers, storing more oxygen and muscle glycogen. So lots of advantages to that. But that means that we need to know and understand how to help our body repair, because if you just break it down and break it down and break it down and you don't ever allow your body to repair, then you're not doing anything good for yourself. You're just breaking yourself down. So one of the ways that we can focus on giving our body good recovery, cool down stretches. We don't want our muscles to get tight. We want to keep them fluid and moving. So let's go ahead and jump in today. So this would be considered a post-workout stretch. So we're going to go static stretches on these. There's dynamic, ballistic, and static stretching are the 3 general types that you can work with. Dynamic stretching, a little bit better for warm-up. Static stretching, a little better for cool down. Ballistic stretching, a little bit better for preparation for quick, high impact exercises. So today, focusing on static stretching. We're gonna start from the top and work our way down. So if you guys have some open space, you have a yoga mat, something comfortable to work with, we don't need a lot of equipment today. Let's start off with the neck and get a couple of stretches in there. Now, so many of us hold a lot of stress in our neck and a lot of tension can build up there, so we want to loosen those up. Start off standing up straight. Let's put your palms on the outside of your thighs. Head is up super high, so try to push the crown of your head towards the ceiling, pull your belly button in. We're in our anatomic position. I want you to reach your fingertips down your thighs as far as you can. So I've got my hands on the outside of my legs, I'm reaching my fingertips down, my head is up high. Now I'm going to take my right ear and just drop it towards my right shoulder. So what I'm doing here, I'm actively reaching my fingertips down and dropping my head to my right, not looking up, not looking down, not rotating my head, just literally leaning it to the side, trying to push my right ear to my right shoulder. You should feel that stretch open, all of these muscles up here in the top of your neck on the left side. It's gonna help loosen up your upper traps, your levator scapulae, your sternocleidomastoid. Yes, I'm talking English. So, what is he talking about? All right, let's bring the head to the other side. So lift your head up, lean to the other side. As we do these static stretches, about 20 seconds minimum, you want to hold these stretches, right, for a good static stretch. Actively reach those fingertips down, lean the left ear towards the left shoulder. About 20 seconds. There's different schools of thought on the benefits of holding the stretch for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 10 minutes at a time. Go ahead and come on up and let's go one more time to the other side. Lean your right ear towards your right shoulder. Stretch open those muscles, reach the fingertips down. For practicality's sake, I'm a fan of about 30 seconds. I feel like it gives your muscle enough time to release and relax, but not so much time that it's taking you an hour and a half to do your cool down stretches. A lot of it just depends on your goals. Let's go ahead and lift the head up and let's go left ear to left shoulder one more time. Good stretch in the neck. Reach the fingertips down. You want to reach those fingertips down because that depresses your scapula, drops your shoulder blade down. If you allow that while I'm leaning my left ear towards my left shoulder, if my right shoulder pops up, then I'm losing a lot of that stretch, and you can feel that. If you're leaning your head to your left, you raise your right shoulder up, you lose a bunch of that tension. Good, come on back up. That's stretch number 1 of 12. Next one, we're gonna stay up in the neck. Again, standing up straight, pushing the crown of my head towards the ceiling. I'm gonna reach out towards you guys, so my arms are straight out in front of me, shoulder level. I've got my palms turned in towards each other. You can make a fist or have your hands open, whatever's clever for you. Head is up, okay? Keep your nose level. We're not looking towards the floor, we're not looking up towards the ceiling. I'm gonna turn and try to look clockwise. I'm gonna try to look over my right shoulder as far as I can turn. Stretch, don't let your head drop forward or anything like that. Pushing the crown of your head towards the ceiling, just looking over your right shoulder. Quick note for you guys too, that any of these stretches really can be converted from dynamic stretches to static stretches and back and forth. So if I were warming up instead of focusing on a cool down, I could take these stretches, turn my head, hold it for a few seconds, then come back out, turn my head the other way, hold it for a few seconds, come back out. That's more of a dynamic movement pattern. Okay, so we'll talk about that in other videos. Go ahead and turn and look to your left now, stretching out those neck muscles. Another note here, be sure to pull your shoulder blades back just slightly in this. I know you're reaching your arms out in front of you, okay? But I want you to try to draw the shoulder blades back and together to keep those neutral. And that's gonna help keep the muscles lined up the way they're supposed to be. Keep your spine lined up the way it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and turn and look over the right shoulder again. I'm already feeling a little looser in the neck here, I like it. Turn to your right. Good, couple deep breaths. Breathing pattern, you want to take deep breaths while you're stretching. Let's go one more time, turn to the left. Big stretch, try to look over that left shoulder. You want to keep your neck mobile. Take deep breaths in and breathe out. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and relax the arms at your side, shake it out a little bit, and roll your neck a little bit. Should feel a little looser. Next one, let's go ahead and start stretching out the shoulders, the chest area, and the arms. I'm gonna reach my right hand straight out towards you guys, straight towards 12 o'clock, and then keeping my elbow straight, I'm gonna bring my arm across my chest, trying to point my hand towards 9 o'clock. I'm gonna grab my upper arm with my left hand and pull my arm towards my chest, pull my arm into my chest. So my whole body is facing towards you guys, towards 12 o'clock. But my right arm is at chest level, kind of going across my chest, pointed towards 9 o'clock. And I'm using my left free hand to pull that arm into my chest. So you should feel this stretch on the outside of your right shoulder, in your deltoids, in the traps and rhomboids in the back of your shoulder blade. We'll hold this a few seconds. It's good to loosen up those shoulders. And good, go ahead and relax. Let's go to the other side. Reaching my left hand out towards you guys. I'm gonna bring it across the chest, grab my upper arm and pull that arm tight into my chest. Feeling that stretch in the outside of my left shoulder, back behind my shoulder blade. Be sure not to grab your forearm, right? You wanna grab above the elbow, so we'll keep the pressure out of your elbow that way. Your palm can be facing towards the floor. I've got mine facing kind of the wall behind me as I pull my arm across my chest. Either way, good for you, whatever's comfortable. Totally fine. So we'll hold this a few more seconds. Take a couple of deep breaths. Good, guys. Maintaining your body, super important. All right, go ahead and roll that out, shake the shoulders out. Anytime I'm done with a stretch, I like to just kind of shake it out a little bit. There's stretch number 3 of 12. Next one, we're gonna go triceps. We're gonna stretch out the back of the arms. If you've had a good push day, you've done some bench press or some push-ups, something like that, some tricep push downs, might get a little sore back here. Stretching does help with your soreness. So I'm gonna take my right hand, I'm gonna put it straight up in the air. I'm going to bend my elbow and put the palm of my right hand on the back of my neck. So my elbow's pointed up towards the ceiling, my right elbow is bent, I've got my palm on the back of my neck. Now, take my left hand, point it straight up in the air, bend my left elbow and grab my right elbow with my left hand. Hope you guys aren't twisted around yet. So both of my elbows are pointed up towards the ceiling. I've got my left hand on my right elbow and my right hand crawling down my back. I'm gonna turn around so you guys can kind of see this, if you can see the video. And I want you to pull on your right elbow. So use your left hand to pull that arm into more of an extension and crawl your fingertips down your spine as far as you're able to reach. You're gonna feel this stretch mostly in your triceps and the back of your arm, but you might feel it a little bit into your shoulder, into your lats. Little tip technique for you here. You can actually lean to your left just slightly, and that's gonna pull the lats open just a little bit more if you wanna get a little extra bonus stretch. Good, guys, let's go ahead and switch. I'll stay facing away from the camera. So I'm gonna put my left arm straight up in the air. I'm gonna bend my left elbow, put my left palm on the back of my neck, reach up, grab my left elbow with my right hand, and pull. Stretching that down, reaching my fingertips down my spine, as far as you can reach. Some of you might be a little more flexible. I'm getting like my fingertips down between my shoulder blades-ish. I'm not very flexible with this particular movement, but that's why it's so important to do it. We wanna make sure that we're working on our weak points, right? I'm not terribly inflexible, but it's not what I'm known for. That is for show. So you wanna keep working that open. Good, go ahead and release that. Again, shake the arms out a little bit. Stretch number 4 of 12, feeling really good. So next one, I should have mentioned this right at the beginning, but we'll need a little bit of wall space for the next one. We're gonna do a chest stretch, okay? So I've got the wall behind me here. I'm gonna look towards 9 o'clock, so I'm not facing you guys anymore. I've got the wall directly on my left. So I reach my left arm straight out to my side at shoulder level, and I can touch the wall with my fingertips. So scooch close enough to the wall where what I'm looking for is you're reaching directly out to your left, you're putting your palm flat against the wall, but your fingertips are pointed back behind you, okay? So not up towards the ceiling, but back behind you. So I'm pressing my palm flat against the wall, and now I'm gonna turn towards you guys a little bit. I'm gonna turn clockwise and keep my hand planted against the wall. So I'm kind of like turning away from the arm that I'm stretching. And what this does is it drags your arm back and open away from your chest, and it pulls open all these muscles in your pectoralis. It's gonna open up the muscles, your forearm flexors, your bicep. It's gonna stretch a whole bunch of muscles going down your arm. That feels really good. And you may feel a stretch like down into your hand even. I can feel it kind of pulling open some of the muscles and tendons in my hand. Go nice and gentle, and just kind of find that stretch point as you turn away from that arm you're stretching. And go ahead and relax, release slowly. Always take your time getting into and out of these stretches. I'm gonna change directions now. I've got the wall on my right side, putting my right palm flat against the wall, fingers pointed behind me. I'm gonna scooch a little closer to the wall so I get a good flat palm on the wall position. And now I'm gonna turn away from that arm. I'm gonna turn to my left as I kind of look towards you guys, stretching open my right arm. You should always take your time with these stretches. Stretching, whether it's dynamic, static, or even ballistic, it should not be painful, guys. You should feel some discomfort. You should feel those muscles being pulled open, but it shouldn't be painful. If it's painful, you're detracting a little bit from what you're doing, because your muscles naturally are gonna tighten up and pull back on you if you're pushing them too hard, and then you kind of reduce the ability to open those muscles up. So take your time, go nice and slow, relax, relax the arm, take a couple deep breaths. Awesome, guys. Okay, good. Go ahead and release that. Feels good. We've gotten pretty much every muscle in the upper body stretched open now. That was number 5 of 12. Next one, we're gonna go to kind of our midsection hips. We're gonna start working our way down the body. I'm gonna come down to the floor, and I'm gonna be prone. So I'm gonna go belly down. And what I'm gonna do is, while I'm on my belly, tops of my feet, my thighs, hips, belly, chest, everything on the ground. I'm looking towards the floor, but I'm gonna put my palms flat on the floor, right on the outside of my chest, and my elbows are bent, kind of pointed back towards my feet. So from here, I'm gonna do an anterior chain stretch, or if you're familiar with yoga positions, this is essentially a Cobra Stretch. I'm gonna push my chest and belly up. I'm straightening out my arms, but I'm gonna leave my hips down as far as I can. I'm trying to drop my hips towards the floor. So this puts me in a big arch. I'm stretching my back, my belly, my hip flexors, thighs, and I'm looking forward. You're trying to draw your shoulder blades back and together, and you're trying to look straight ahead. You can even look up just slightly. Now, a little bit of caution with this one. If you deal with chronic back pain, go very, very slowly. Don't push too hard. Understand what your body is telling you, right? Because we want our spines to be flexible and mobile, but if you've already got some irritation that you're dealing with, this may exasperate that irritation. You gotta be really, really cautious with it. So we're stretching the spine open. Looking up, holding this stretch, trying to push your hips towards the floor, and good. Slowly come back down to the floor. Always coming out of these carefully and controlled. I'm gonna come on up. I'm gonna do the opposite stretch now. I'm gonna do a posterior chain stretch. So I'm gonna spin around. I'm gonna put my bottom on the floor. I'm sitting. I've got my legs straight out in front of me. Okay, I'm sitting up tall. Legs are straight, head is up. Push the crown of your head towards the ceiling. I've got my hands on my thighs, and what I'm gonna do is take a deep breath in, and I'm going to breathe out as I slide my hands down my legs as far as I can reach, rounding out my back. You want to round out your back, push your chin down towards your chest. So we're stretching the whole posterior chain. You're going to feel this a lot in your hamstrings, kind of back behind the knee or up into your glutes. You're going to feel this in your lower back, your neck, your shoulders, the whole back side of your body. Okay, so we're getting a lot of muscles stretched open with this one. I'm reaching about halfway down my shins, most of the way down my shins right now. Once I get a little bit looser, I've done a few stretches, I can typically grab my toes, reach down as far as you can reach, grab your ankles, grab your heels, your toes. If it's your shins, just grab a hold of your shins. That's totally fine. Find the distance that's good for you. Hang out here for a minute, take a couple of deep breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Your feet should have a little bit of space between them. It's not gonna hurt you if they're like right up next to each other, but I've got about 6 inches between my feet, so they're hip width, which is pretty normal, right? So unless specified otherwise, you typically wanna think of your leg and hand and arm positions as being the width of your hips and shoulders. So, a couple more deep breaths, and feeling good. Feeling the muscles loosen up a little bit, so I'm gonna reach down just another inch or two. Going a little longer on this stretch, but again, it's not bad for you. Typically, a little longer stretch is gonna be okay for you. Good, guys. All right. Come on up, very slow, controlled. Number 7, so that one felt really, really good. Kind of loosening up the back and the hips. Let's go ahead and draw the feet in close. Let's bend the knees. We're gonna draw your heels in. This next one, we're gonna do a groin stretch. What I wanna do is pull your heels in as close as you can, bend your knees and let your knees drop open and put the bottoms of your feet together. Okay, so some of you may know this as a butterfly stretch, cobbler pose, bound ankle pose. There's a few different ways that we can name this. So I've got the bottoms of my feet together. I'm pulling my heels in towards my groin as far as I can. My knees are bent. I'm dropping my knees open to the side. I'm gonna grab the tops of my feet near my ankles with my hands. I'm gonna rest my elbows on the inside of my thighs near my knee. So what this does is not only can I kind of help my torso sit up a little straighter by pulling on my feet, pushing the crown of my head towards the ceiling, but I can also drive my elbows into the insides of my thigh to push my knees open just a little bit more. So I'm supporting my spine, sitting up as tall as I can, and driving my knees open, which will help push the stretch into your hip adductors. So your gracilis and the other adductor brevis and the short muscles in your inside thighs. Sit up super tall, super tall. Deep breath in and breathe out. That's good, guys. I like this one as well. We don't tend to stretch the muscles on the insides of our thighs too much. So we want to make sure that we're loosening those up just like any other muscle group in the body for it to function the way it's supposed to. Slowly come back up, kind of help your feet, lift your feet out with your hands, extend them out, whatever, whatever works best for you. And then I'm gonna come on up, I'm gonna kneel on the floor. I'll turn the other way so you guys can see this here. So next one we're gonna work on is a hip flexor, okay? The hip flexor is the front of your thigh. If I was standing up and I just lifted my legs straight out in front of me, that would be my hip flexor. Now the hip flexor is thought to be a true gateway to either good or bad health. So if your hip flexors are real tight, weak, not conditioned well, then generally that can reflect on your overall body health. Your hip flexors attach to your lower back, they run through your hips, attached to the front of your femur, and if they're short and tight, they pull you out of alignment, they cause a whole bunch of problems. So I'm in a kneeling position, I'm gonna take one foot and put it out in front of me, okay? So I'm down on one knee. If this is a little uncomfortable for you, make sure that you pad up. You've got a lot of protection for that knee on the floor. Both of my knees are bent 90 degrees. My front foot is out flat on the floor in front of me. Front knee is lined up over my front ankle. Head over my shoulders, shoulders over top of my hips, and my bottom knee is right underneath my hips. Top of my left foot now is on the floor, the top of my left foot. Now, we're gonna go into a hip flexor stretch. Simply put, I'm gonna take my right foot, I'm gonna step it forward just 6 inches or so, not too far. And I'm gonna push my hips forward, which drags my left leg back behind me a little bit. So the knee that's on the ground, my left knee is no longer underneath my hips, but is back behind me on the floor about 6 to 8 inches. I'm pushing my hips forward into this stretch, and you're gonna feel this pull the front of your hip and thigh open a lot. Now, if you're pretty flexible, you want a little bit more, you can actually reach your arms up and almost arch back just slightly. And even from here, if you lean away from that left hip, so I'm gonna kind of lean slightly to my right as I'm reaching up, boy, oh boy, that's gonna pull that hip flexor open, and that typically results in way better hip flexor health. And it's a positive thing for you guys. So very controlled, very slowly, come back out of it. Let's go ahead and switch legs. So I'm gonna put my right knee on the floor this time. Step out with my left foot. I'm getting into position here. I'm all set. I'm gonna slide my left foot forward about 6 inches or so, and I'm gonna push my hips forward into that stretch. So making sure that we're getting good stretch in the hip flexors. I'm gonna go ahead and reach up. And since I have my right leg on the ground, I'm gonna lean to my left just a little bit to open up that right hip flexor, just a touch, just a bit. It's perfect. Good work. I like it, guys. Okay, and then come back up. Super good. Really good for those hip flexors. We like opening up those hip flexors. Go ahead and turn around. We're gonna sit on the floor again. This next one might take a little bit of work to get into, but it's worth it. We're gonna get some rotation in the spine. Both of my legs straight out in front of me like I was doing with the hamstring stretch, the posterior chain stretch. Sitting up super tall, my legs are straight out in front of me, toes pointed towards the ceiling. Bend your right leg, okay? So I'm gonna bring my right foot in closer to me. My right knee is bent. Cross your right leg over your left, and I want you to place your right foot flat on the floor on the outside of your left knee. Okay, so my right knee is pointed up towards the ceiling. My left leg is still straight on the floor. My right foot flat on the floor on the outside of my left knee. Take your right hand, put it on the floor, a little bit behind and outside your right hip. straighten your arm and kind of prop yourself up a little bit. So you're leaning on your right hand, your right arm, just a little bit to help you sit up straighter, okay? Now last step, take your left arm, bend your elbow, put your left elbow on the outside of your right knee. And from here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna twist to your right. You're turning clockwise, you're pushing the crown of your head towards the ceiling, and you're pushing that left elbow into your right knee as you twist to your right. Now that you're all stuck in a pretzel, what are we doing with this thing? So we're rotating the spine, we're stretching out the erector spinae, we're stretching out the right hip and glute as we cross that leg over. Get a little bit of a stretch up into your left shoulder blade as you're pulling across. So a lot of things happening here. It's a seated spinal twist and definitely a little tricky to get into, but once you get that right position, it feels really good. We really loosen a lot of stuff up. Don't round out your back though, don't hunch forward. Push the crown of your head up super high. That's gonna make sure we keep the stress in the muscles and not put it in the spine. Go ahead and cone out. Extend that right leg again. Drop that right leg on the floor. And I'm back in my starting position. So now I'm gonna bend the left leg. I'm gonna put my left foot on the outside of my right knee. I'm going to put my left hand on the floor on the outside of my left hip. Left knee pointed towards the ceiling, right leg straight on the ground. Put my right elbow on the outside of my left knee, and I'm gonna push and twist to my left. You can even add in, I'm gonna try to like turn my head and look over my left shoulder just a little bit. So we're getting that whole spinal column, seated spinal twist. Take a couple deep breaths, try to sit up tall, push the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Big stretch. Oh, feels good. I had a good workout yesterday, so this stretch down feels pretty freaking fantastic. All right, and release. Loosen up those muscles again. Come on out. It's perfect. Shake the legs out a little bit. We've got 2 more stretches. I'm gonna have you lay on your back for the next one. We're gonna do a Piriformis stretch. I'm focusing a lot on the hips and the lower back here, guys, because that's our core, that's our midsection, that's our where all of our stability is and where a lot of our challenges and problems can come from. So, laying on my back, feet are flat on the floor, knees pointed towards the ceiling. We're gonna do a Piriformis stretch. If any of you have heard that name, the Piriformis, it's a little infamous. If anybody's dealt with sciatic pain, that can be one of your culprits. I'm gonna take my right leg, lift my foot up off the floor. I'm gonna turn my leg and place the outside of my right ankle on my left thigh, kind of close to my knee. So I'm making like a figure 4 shape, okay? So I'm rotating my leg. Now, even in this position, some of you may really feel this stretch already, kind of deep down into your hip. And that is your Piriformis. A lot of what you're stretching right there is your Piriformis. So if needed, you can take your hands and kind of push your right knee away from you. That'll accentuate the stretch a little bit. But for those of you who are a little bit looser in this, reach through your legs with your right hand and around the outside of your left leg with your left hand. So essentially, reach down, grab your left shin, okay? So I'm not even touching my right leg, I'm just grabbing my left shin with both hands, and I'm gonna pull my leg towards me, which essentially pulls everything towards me because my right leg is trapped on my left. So as I pull my left shin towards me, I've got my head off the ground because I needed to kind of almost do an abdominal crunch to reach down there and grab my leg. As I pull towards me, my left foot is off the floor now. My hips are almost rising up just a little bit as I pull that whole complex up towards my chest, as far as I can pull. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, will save you a lot of trouble if you deal with sciatic pain or anything like that. Gotta have those hips mobile. Let's go ahead and relax down. Put your right foot back on the floor. Let's switch sides. So I'm gonna lift my left leg up. Keep my left knee bent as I rotate, put the right the outside of my left ankle and my right leg. I'm gonna reach through, grab my right shin, and pull towards me. Now you may find this, just like me, we are bilateral, we're not typically bi-equal. Okay, so unless you were born with some type of malformation, or you had some type of injury, you're bilateral, right? You've got a right hand and a left hand, a right arm, left arm, right leg, left leg, and all of those muscles are duplicated on both sides. However, more often than not, we deal with not being equal on both sides. So my left hip is a lot tighter than my right hip. When I throw with my right arm, I step and plant with my left foot. So my left hip is almost always, for the majority of my life, been tighter, which is why you want to stretch both of them individually. Try to keep them as balanced as we can. All right, guys, go ahead and relax down. Come on up on your feet. We've got one more stretch. We're gonna work down into the calf muscles. Last one, I'm turning towards the wall, so I'm gonna have my back to you guys, but essentially for this stretch, we're gonna do a wall push. I've got my hands on the wall, just a little bit lower than chest level, so like upper abdominal, chest level, palms flat on the wall, fingertips pointed towards the ceiling, okay? And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna step my right foot back towards you guys, a pretty good sized step, okay? So it's not as far as I can reach, but it's bigger than just an average walking step. So kind of a medium large. My front knee bends and my back leg stays straight. I've got both feet flat on the floor. My left knee is right underneath my chest. So now the position that I'm in, my arms are straight, palms are at about shoulder level, because as I step back and kind of squatted my hips down a little bit, now my hands are at shoulder level. My front foot is flat on the floor, front knee is bent, back leg is driving towards the floor. Back leg is straight, back heel on the floor. So you guys should feel this in your calves. You should feel it in your lower leg. This is your gastrocnemius. That's the big calf muscle that everybody looks at. There's another muscle though, down in that leg, that's very, very important to stretch. It's called your soleus. So in this same position, now instead of having your back leg straight, go ahead and bend that right knee just slightly. Keep your heel on the floor, but bend that right knee just slightly and kind of push your knee just a little bit forward and down. And what you should feel is that stretch shift down now a little closer towards your heel into the lower part of your lower leg. That's your soleus. And it's important to stretch both the gastroc and the soleus. So we'll hold this just a little bit longer and then we'll go ahead and switch. So now I'm gonna bring my right foot forward underneath me. My left leg is back. My left leg is straight, and I am stretching my gastroc, stretching the calves. Push your hips forward a little bit in this too. If you don't really feel this, you can kind of drive your hips forward into it, keep that back heel on the floor, and that's gonna help stretch into the gastroc. Bend that left knee a little bit, drop the stretch down into your soleus. Couple deep breaths. And this is about it, guys. Your body has now been maintenanced. You've stretched it out. You have increased blood flow to all the muscles. You've loosened them all up. A lot more stretches that can be done, but that generic routine there, those 12 stretches, will help you just to kind of utilize all of this space to keep your body open and moving. It will help you to target just the general muscle groups in your body. So if you guys have any thoughts or questions, please post them in the comments. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, go ahead and share this video. All of the videos that I produce are friendly for people with vision and without. So all my descriptions are based around being universally designed for everybody. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Make sure that you change the way you look at it, right? That's what we say at Revision Training. Let's change the way we look at it. You guys make it a strong day.